A two-headed giant sows 5 magical demon seeds into the river. In the next second, the seeds began to sprout and grow wildly. The tree roots and huge vines continued to extend towards the horizon. At the command of the giant leader, countless giants rushed towards the vines on the edge of the cliff. Then they climb up the vine and start changing the direction of the vine's growth. In an instant, countless vines began to spread downwards, blocked between humans and gods. The giant can finally go to the human world. At this time, the human boy was still calming his horse, but the next second he noticed something was wrong from the reflection in the sink. So he immediately mounted his horse and went to inform the king. Everywhere you go, the alarm bells of war are ringing. But the king in the distance could no longer remember the meaning of the bell. As the male protagonist continues to approach, the king and the guards finally heard his warning. However, it was obviously too late at this time. Countless giants walked through the dense forest with weapons in hand. Take advantage of the money before the giant arrives. They immediately started raising the suspension bridge, but the male protagonist who reported this matter had not yet had time to enter the city, seeing that the suspension bridge is about to be completely raised. The hero finally rode his horse and arrived in time. Then he jumped to the suspension bridge. The giant leader who followed him also wanted to prevent humans from raising the suspension bridge, but just when he was about to climb up, the soldiers guarding the city immediately fired thousands of arrows. Countless swords in history were shot towards the giant's huge face. The grief-stricken giant leader was relieved because his men were loose. As a result, he fell directly into the moat, burning with raging fire. The giant leader screamed for help from the other giants, but it seems that my companions are more interested in the humans in the city at this time. So I watched him disappear into the Bohai Sea. However, no one noticed at this time that the two-headed giant leader who fell into the water did not die. Just as the suspension bridge was about to rise, the giant's counterattack also began immediately. The huge copper bell was thrown directly into the royal city by the giant like a toy. Also destroyed along with it was the stone statue of the king. Then 2 huge iron hooks were hooked directly on the suspension bridge. At this point, the decisive battle between humans and giants has officially begun. But as more giants joined, humanity's defense equipment also began to be completely destroyed. Seeing that the city gate may be lost at any time, helpless humans can only hook the suspension bridge in the same way. Then, under the leadership of the king, he launched a real legal battle with the giant. At the same time, in order to destroy the human defense line, the giant, they set fire to the uprooted trees, then throw it directly into the city. Countless huge fireballs rained down on humans. Humanity's last line of defense has suffered heavy losses as a result. It seems that humans may not be able to support it. So the king asked the princess to go with Jack to the prince to light the beacon, while issuing an early warning to the forest side kingdom and requesting support. But when the two of them arrived at the prince's palace, but they seemed to hear something moving below, the result will be in the next second. The ground of the prince's palace was directly blasted with a huge hole. The visitor officially fell into the two-headed giant in the Gucheng River. He sneaked directly into the palace through the rice in the royal city. His keen sense of smell allowed him to detect the presence of humans sent here. A search was immediately launched for both of them. The 2 people hiding under the king's cloak were already frightened. They can only pray that the giant cannot find them and leave here. I don't know how long it has been after they slowly lifted off the king's cloak. The next second, a huge giant eye appeared in front of them. So the 2 of them could only start running away again, and the giants began to pursue them and hunt them. But just as they were about to pass through the second floor aisle. As a result, the princess was caught in the giant's hand. Just when the giant is about to eat the princess, the male protagonist grabbed a knife and prepared to fatally attack the giant. But the male protagonist's move was discovered by the giant at another moment. As a result, the next second the male protagonist was caught by the giant. In the other hand, after thinking twice, the giant decided to eat the hero first. But just when he opened his bloody mouth, the male protagonist took out the last remaining magic weapon in the world. Then he threw it directly into the giant's mouth. The magic beans that were born when they encountered water began to take root and sprout in the giant's body. A giant that is not bald can only throw away its prey first. But the result will be in the next second. The crazy growing man vine directly penetrated the giant's body, then it spreads crazily upwards. Such a powerful giant also completely received the lunchbox, and next, the princes of the kingdom were also involved in the boundless sky along with the vines, and the apocalyptic war between humans and giants outside the palace continues. Before watching the next happen, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Suddenly a huge giant appeared in my heart. A little lamb had no time to escape and was caught by the giant and fed into his mouth. Human beings curiously stretched out their heads to visit. As a result, this immediately attracted the attention of the giant. A towering tree that was hundreds of years old was uprooted by giants. Tiny humans still want to escape. As a result, the giant came to him in only 3 steps. In the next second, the giant curiously bent down and took a closer look. After confirming that he was a human being, he grabbed him directly. The governor of the city guard also wanted to step forward to save his team members, but as a result, the damage caused by a long sword is almost zero. The giant easily drew his sword and caught him in his hand, then after having gained a lot, he was ready to leave. At this time, only the male protagonist who was hiding under the water simply escaped. He strode quickly behind the giant, thereby hoping to find a chance to save his companions, until we passed through the dense forest in front of us. He finally discovered that this was actually the territory of giants, the place between earth and heaven. And on the other side, the other 3 people working separately had their own hidden agendas. At the king's command, they climbed up the vines and arrived at the giant's territory, just looking for the vines that accidentally brought me to the giant territory last night. The princess and prime minister of the land deceived the guards into discovering the princess's presence. As a result, just when the guards came forward to look for him, but he was accidentally pushed down a cliff from behind by the palmist. Just when the 2 of them were happy that their plan had succeeded, as a result, the subordinate was grabbed by a giant that suddenly appeared, then he ate it directly into his mouth. At this time, another giant also appeared on the edge of the cliff, just when they were about to eat this despicable human being. As a result, the next second he took out a magic crown from his pocket. This crown was made by the first king using the heart of a giant. Wearing it will make all giants obey his orders. And this is the real purpose of the prime minister coming here. He is ready to use the power of giants to defeat all human kingdoms, to become the king of the world. At this time, the male protagonist followed the giant and arrived at the giant's lair. The dazzling gold is the loot captured by the giants last time they invaded the human world, but when he finally emerged from the dungeon, he was lost in the giant's lair. As a result, he happened to hear the princess calling for help at this moment. This time, a giant was imprisoning the princess in a cage. So the male protagonist immediately followed him. In the end, I never thought that this was the giant's kitchen. I saw the giant expertly eat a mouthful of rhubarb snot. Immediately afterwards, the governor of the city was involved. Then it was placed on the baking sheet together with the 2 New Year pigs. Then insert 3 giant toothpicks. Only the special structure of human beings saved the governor's life. Then he was thrown directly into the baking pan by the giant. This time, the male protagonist has also arrived here. After the giant cut the side dishes gracefully, the princess is about to become his next delicious ingredient. Just when the giant was about to cut off the princess's head, the hero pulled out a knife from the giant's knife holder in time. Then he jumped down and penetrated directly into the giant's back. The giant, who was in pain, instantly felt that he had received tens of thousands of critical hits. So I panicked and wanted to see what happened to my back, but in the end, he accidentally leaned against the stone wall. A long knife was inserted into his heart. The male protagonist also became the first human being to kill a giant. The 3 people who escaped hurriedly prayed for their companions' graves. They were ready to follow the vines and return to the world, but just when they came here, they found that the prime minister had already sent giants to guard the exit. Just when everyone doesn't know what to do, as a result, the male protagonist immediately thought of a way. He followed the bees to a hive, then quietly came to the sleeping giant. The governor of the city gently lifted off the giant's mask. The male protagonist directly put the entire hive into the giant's helmet, then looked for it directly on the button. Then the 2 of them quickly escaped from your scene for a short time. The sleeping giant suddenly got up. The giant history that was attacked by thousands of bees began to go berserk, just under everyone's nervous gaze. The giant finally took off his helmet, but it turned out that the bee's sarcasm couldn't hurt the giant's skin at all. However, you can, just a fake move by the last bee. As a result, the steel-bone giant was frightened and fell into a cliff, and a huge obstacle before everyone's eyes has been completely cleared. But just when everyone was about to leave, the governor of the city decided to stay and assassinate the palmist who rebelled against humanity. So as to get back the magic crown in his hands. At this time, the humans below are still praying to the miraculous vines. As a result, a huge giant fell from the sky the next second, then he fell heavily to the ground. Ignorant humans quickly stepped forward to watch. As a result, the legend that had been passed down for thousands of years actually came true. Giants who live between humans and gods really exist. So after the king thought about it for a while, he finally made a difficult decision. That means giving up his daughter and his ministers. then directly cut off the magic vine leading to the giant's territory. To protect his kingdom and his children, however, he didn't know at this time the Palmist who rebelled against him currently held 5 such demon seeds, and an apocalyptic battle between humans and giants will eventually begin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give it a thumbs up, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next.